over to the Virginia Key Board for a few minutes.
Are you guys ready? Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust meeting for July 9th, 2026. I am your chair, Christine King, and our executive director is here as well. We're going to get the meeting going. Mr. City Attorney, would you please read into the record the items that are before us today?
Yes, Madam Chair. The first item is a resolution of the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust approving the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust meeting dates for the 2027 calendar year as set forth in Exhibit A. Item number 2 is a resolution of the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust approving and adopting its operating budget attached and incorporated as Exhibit A in the total amount of $2,840,000 for the fiscal year commencing October 1st, 2026 and ending September 30th, 2027, subject to City of Miami City Commission approval, directing the executive director to present said budget to the City of Miami for its approval and formal adoption. If adopted, ratifying, approving, and confirming certain necessary actions of the executive director to update the relevant financial controls, create the necessary fund accounts, and undertake project closeouts, accounting entries, and computer systems in connection therewith.
Thank you. At this time, is there anyone here that would like to speak on any of these items during public comment? Seeing none, the public comment period is now closed. May I have a motion for item 1, the minutes for April 9th, 2026?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And may I have a motion for resolutions 1 and 2?
Motion. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we have a discussion item, gentlemen, the executive director's quarterly report. Has everyone read it?
Yes.
Do you need a formal
No.
presentation?
Me neither.
Neither? Nope. Okay. Thank you, Madam Executive Director. That shall you look like you want to say something. I don't want to cut you off.
Just for the record, I just wanted to make it known that we did hand out the quarterly report because we didn't get an opportunity to put it in the packet, and I put it on everyone's desk and emailed it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. That shall conclude the Virginia Key Beach Park Trust meeting for July 9th, 2026.
Thank you. And it's my daughter's birthday today.
And happy birthday to your daughter.
Thank you.
All righty, so we are now back as we switch attorneys. Yes,
Flip the tape.
I'm sorry?
Flip the tape.
Delightful. All right. So we have another item that we still continue to have a lot of people in the audience interested in, and that's PZ9. Commissioner Pardo, if you prefer, we could, skip and take that one up, and then we could get our friends from around the county and the city on their way. So let's take up PZ9. Mr. Attorney, do we need to read anything on that?
No, it's a resolution, but I believe the county is here to address it's their appeal. Give me 1 second.
And hello, Commissioner Regalado.
Hello, how are you?
Mr. Winkler, just stay seated for a second. Well, thanks.
Thank you all very much. Good afternoon. I'll be starting the county's presentation. As many of you know, we specifically requested, we've been here since the public hearing, but we asked to present all at one time. First of all, I'm Commissioner Raquel Regalado, and I'm here to present on the Playhouse. The Coconut Grove Playhouse was closed in 2006 as a result of a bankruptcy. In 2008, Miami-Dade County started a series of charrettes that you will hear about when we present. And those charrettes actually led us to the plan that is before you today. In 2010, I was elected as a school board member and became a board of the Coconut Grove Playhouse and worked with the city and with the county on this project and on many of the educational programs that are now embedded in the county's project. In 2018, Miami-Dade County came before the city of Miami and received approvals for everything that you are going to see today. After that, we entered into an extensive litigation regarding the size of the properties with several individuals, including the city of Miami. And as a result of that, one of the things that was at issue was the $10 million that the city of Miami has said that they were going to contribute to the Coconut Grove Playhouse. In 2020, when I was elected to the commission, I started working on this again. And in 2021, I asked the Board of County Commissioners to appoint me to settle the litigation with the city of Miami. That litigation was settled, and we are before you today because we did not want to litigate any further, and we decided, even though we had won all the cases against the city of Miami, to voluntarily subject ourselves to this process again. Commissioner Pardo and I have had several meetings on this, and we've had the opportunity to meet with the community. The community has changed. When the county first had these conversations, there were a series of things that the community wanted, and now the community is saying that they want something different, and we have been responsive to that. We have also not asked the city of Miami to contribute in any form to this project. This is a project that is fully funded by Miami-Dade County, even though the costs have gone up as a result of the delay. A lot of the issues that you heard here today are issues that are confusing because they are different aspects of this project. There is a group of people who wanted 1,000 seats. There are people who support the current program, which has 300 seats. And then there are people who want nothing there at all. I will say that of the input that you heard today, you actually had 22 people in favor, 10 standing in favor, and 12 against. And the ones that were against were divided 50-50 for different reasons. Some want more seats, some want less seats, some want nothing. But that being said, the county is open to the following concessions that we've discussed with Commissioner Prado at the Sunshine meeting that we had. The first off that was requested by the groups is, and you'll see in the presentation, there is no commercial frontage into Little Bahamas West Grove in the single-family neighborhood. That was never an aspect of this, and that has never been an aspect. We were asked by the residents originally in 2008 to eliminate the barriers because this neighborhood was initially segregated from Main Highway. Now the current neighbors have asked us to put up a buffer. We are willing to put up that buffer, and we have agreed to do that as part of this process. And this is on the back side. Everything to do with the theater, as you will see in the presentation, comes in through Main Highway. Regarding the traffic study, of course, we will have a traffic study as any project would. But a lot of the issues that are being raised by the neighbors are outside the scope of our property. They want us to vacate an alley that doesn't belong to us. They want us to close streets that belong to the city, not to the county. They want us to build walls. There's a series of things that are within your purview as a city commission, and we have explained to them on several occasions that they would have to bring that request to you all. We have been working with our MPA partners, and one of the things that is frustrating about this project is that we are accused of being developers. We are not. This entire project is a community benefit. The MPA is our partner. One of the things that we were told early on is that this project had to be completely self-sustaining. That was the same thing that the city of Miami also told the MPA. All commercial activity on these sites are to ensure that they're self-sustaining because the county will not pay for the operation and maintenance of this site, and the city has also refused to pay for the operation and maintenance of this site. We have been asked to provide first source hiring and living wage. We're happy to agree to what is permissible under existing law. As many of you know, the state of Florida has preempted us from doing a lot of different things, and the county already has a commitment for that. Madam Mayor spearheaded that when she was a commissioner at the county. We are very thoughtful as to that, and part of our plan really, as was mentioned during the public comment, is to use this site not just for education, but also for employment and training. However, we cannot agree to more than what the state or the county or the city allows. We were also asked to provide access to the churches and community organizations. We discussed this at our Sunshine meeting. The county cannot pay for anything else. If the city of Miami wants to provide us with some funding to provide that access, we're happy to do that as part of an MOU. We have an existing MOU with the city, and we're happy to amend that. That has nothing to do with the current zoning situation. And then finally, the investment in the Little Bahamas history and the landmarks. We're committed to that within reason and with the city of Miami's support. We've already preserved the historic elements, the sign, and we'll be putting that all back into the Playhouse. I will say this, I grew up going to the Coconut Grove Playhouse, as many of you did. Unfortunately, my children, who are 21 and 22, have never been inside. We've deprived an entire generation access to this amazing establishment, and today we would like to ask you for your support to bring theater back to Coconut Grove. And with that, I will introduce our amazing attorney, Eddie Kirkley.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Madam Mayor. Good to be here. I won't prolong this. I just want to thank you for your time and consideration. I'm here to answer any legal questions. I just want to say, as Commissioner Regalado had indicated, we did obtain an approval in 2018, unfortunately, due to the extensive litigation that this project has undergone over the years. That expired, and you know, we thought that should have been recognized through all of that, and we continue to believe that. But we're happy to be here. We hope we can have your support today. If you have legal questions, I'm here to answer them, to make any objections, of course, if I need to, and I appreciate your indulgence. Our Cultural Affairs Director also has a full presentation at the will of this body if you'd like to see in more detail the project and also some of the modifications that have been made in response to the community.
That's at your discretion, Commissioner Pardo, if you feel like you need. I think you saw.
I think the summary of the concessions would be the best thing. Kind of like where we heard the community and what changed.
Thank you so much. My name is Ashley Thomas. I am the interim director for the Department of Cultural Affairs. I'm going to pass it here. We'll go to those slides.
Yes, go to those slides. Yeah. We'll speed through all the stuff that we've done.
So this is where those items are taking place, those conditions and the other treatment.
So as you'll see from the map, and we've discussed at the meetings, everything comes in and out through Main Highway. There's actually a small road that we've created in order to have drop-off and pickup so that everything happens on Main Highway. We are providing a buffer on the back. There is no commercial activity on the back. Everything on the back side that abuts the neighborhood is the back of house for the Playhouse. Everyone will be entering through the front. There is a paseo, which we originally created to connect the back to the front. The neighbors have asked us to put a gate there. We're happy to put a gate there so that when there are events, people are not spilling into their neighborhood. And a door, yeah. I would prefer not a permanent closure. I would prefer a gate. But if you all want a permanent closure, I'm happy to do that. I just don't want you to come back 10 years from now and ask me to open it again. Some people may want to get to Main Highway on foot, just putting it out there. But that was one of the requests that we got early on, was to allow accessibility to Main Highway. But we're happy to make it permanent if you don't want a temporary closure. The traffic study is in progress. One of the things that Commissioner Pardo and I talked about is to start dealing with the issues currently while we build what remains of the second phase of the project. One of the things that I will mention as a county commissioner, that I have provided more traffic calming support in Coconut Grove than any other area in Miami-Dade County. So I'm happy to show you all the counts. Coconut Grove is the winner by more than double. So we work on this all the time, and that's not going to end here. The cultural resources and the management plan, that's all part of it. The educational programming, we've agreed to all of that. Like I said, the only thing that concerns us in the last three is, what's available to us under existing law. And then the last two is really an ongoing issue. As we open the Playhouse, that we're happy to work with your office on and put into our MOU with the City of Miami.
Thank you.
Is the county resting its argument?
Save for rebuttal if needed.
Okay. I believe Mr. Winker sent a letter sometime this afternoon indicating he would like to request intervenor status. While he gets ready, let me just sort of advise the board. An intervenor pursuant to Miami 21 is a person whose interests in the proceedings are adversely affected in a manner greater than those of the general public. A qualified intervenor, if you allow him, will be able to present, cross-examine, and make closing arguments in the order decided by the chair. The seminal case on intervenor status is the Renard versus Miami-Dade County case, which says standing requires a definite interest beyond the general public. Relevant factors include, among other things, proximity to the subject property, neighborhood character and nature of the proposed change, and entitlement to notice is a factor. So it'll be Mr. Winker's burden to prove to you that the folks he represents have suffered or have an interest that is greater than just, say, any other person in the city.
While we wait, Mr. City Attorney, I know that this request had also happened at PZAB.
Yes, I should mention
and
that.
they were denied intervenor status.
A request for intervenor status.
And I know they have the option to request it again.
Right. This is what they call a de novo hearing, so
Right.
it's a whole new hearing.
So has anything changed from the legal aspect that was given in that PZAB hearing to now?
As far as I know, no. There's no change from that. But that's for Mr. Winker to inform you.
Good afternoon, everybody. David Winker, law offices at 4720 South Lejeune Road. I'd like to begin. I have a presentation.
But before you go into the presentation, could we go through the...
No, I'm going to do the intervener. I'd like to... I'm going to focus on the intervener status because I believe that my clients meet the definition of intervener. I'm asking that 4 residents be granted status. They live within 500 feet. I'm going to read the names into the record. William and Mamie Armbrister, Paul Jackson, Jasmine Doyle, and Anthony Vinciguerra. And as you can see, under Miami 21, intervener is defined as a person whose interest in the proceedings are adversely affected in a manner greater than the general public. The city of Miami itself has previously opined that an aggrieved party for standing in zoning matters is a resident that lives within 500 feet of the property. I'd like to go over some of the adverse effects that are unique to my clients that live within the 500 feet. Traffic and transportation. The more than 35,000 square feet of commercial restaurants, retail, and business office space will increase vehicle traffic on residential streets during the related expanded hours of commercial activity, leading to rideshare drop-off, pickup near residences behind the Playhouse, next to the commercial paseos that empty into William Avenue and Avatar Way to avoid congestion on Main Highway. Rideshare vehicles idling on Charles Avenue, valet parking drivers speeding down Charles Avenue to retrieve vehicles quickly, spillover parking in residential areas, competition for resident parking, aggressive cut-through drivers using residential streets as shortcuts to commercial destinations, employees of private commercial entities using neighborhood streets for parking and traffic cut-through to get to and from work, greater risk of accidents involving pedestrians and cyclists, reduced walkability and safety for children and pets, blocked driveways or restricted access, increased wear and tear on local roads, delivery and garbage trucks using the neighborhood streets. You saw some of those slides earlier from one of the potential interveners. Increased noise and pollution from idling vehicles. And actually, if I could have the interveners come in so everyone can see who it is as I go through this. Noise and disturbance. Ongoing commercial activity noise, HVAC systems, machinery, increased ambient noise from customers and employees, noise from delivery and service vehicles, late night activity disrupting quiet hours, and event-related noise. Environmental impacts, loss of green space. One of the things that was rejected by the PZAB was the reduction in green space. Increased pollution from traffic and operations. Light pollution from signage and parking lots. Stormwater runoff and potential flooding issues. Urban heat island effect from paved surfaces. Again, what they're asking you for is permission to pave more than they're otherwise allowed to do. Strain on local water and sewer systems, visual impact of this large building. For those of you that reviewed the transcript, there was shock at the PZAB at the height of the parking garage backing up on single-family homes, something that we're all concerned about throughout the city. Commercial activity, increased foot traffic from non-residents, potential rise in petty crime and nuisance activity, concerns about loitering and after-hour activities, reduced sense of privacy for residents. Property and economic effects that are unique to this group. Change in property values of homes immediately adjacent to the 35,000 square foot of new commercial activity. Increased property taxes driven by overall commercialization of the neighborhood. Pressure to sell or relocate. Change in insurance rates and potential additional changes in zoning or land use regulations invited by encroaching commercial space. In sum, these individuals have an interest greater than the general public. They live next door to the subject property, and the negative effects are specific to these interveners and are greater than the general interest of the community. So with that, I would welcome them to answer any specific questions you have, but I don't think there's any doubt that they meet the legal standard for intervening in this matter.
Mr. City Attorney.
Madam Mayor, I would suggest giving the county an opportunity to rebut
Please. Please, Mr. Kirtley.
Thank you very much. I won't prolong this other than to say that we respectfully disagree. We do not believe that the standard has been met. Certainly, the case law is clear that attorney argument, much of what Mr. Winker has alluded to is speculation about effects of this project, which are not based in any facts or evidence, and that attorney argument is not itself evidence. So we don't believe he's made the showing required to obtain intervener status. That said, we have no objection, as we did at the PZAB, to him presenting, if he wishes, on behalf of his clients. I would note he would have had the opportunity to do that during public comment on their behalf. But, you know, we're not here to shut anyone down from participating in this proceeding, but we also recognize that intervener status is a legal category of designation for someone, and we just don't think he meets it. So thank you very much.
Mr. City Attorney, there seems to be a difference of opinion. Commissioner Gabella, do you have any problem if we give Mr. Winker 4 minutes or so
No, I don't.
to present, no matter whether he's an intervener or not? No, okay, great.
I'd recommend a finding that he was not they did not show evidence to show that they had achieved intervener status. However, the City Commission will allow them time to present.
I'd like to address it because I can definitely, I just was trying to make it quick. They can each testify to what I just talked about if you want to take some testimony.
Mr. Winker, just please make your presentation. I presume it wasn't any longer than 4 minutes to begin with, so we're happy to hear you. Thank you.
But the decision is they did not meet the intervener status, and
Correct.
you're not going to allow them to testify.
Correct. But you will have the opportunity to make your presentation.
Okay. Thank you, guys. They denied your intervener status.
George, don't we have to determine if they meet the intervener status? I don't know. Does the body have to, or do you?
If you disagree with the ruling of the chair, you could make a motion to, like as a point of order, and overrule the chair's decision of intervener status.
Wait, the chair said that they didn't meet intervener status?
The chair indicated that they did not qualify as interveners.
You advised us that they did not meet the standard of intervener. I think Mr. Winker should be able to provide his presentation because it's always good to have alternative points of view, and sometimes you get new ideas from them. So.
I agree. I just didn't, I wasn't aware that we decided that they didn't meet the intervener status, or I didn't know if you said it. Right. I'm just trying to, to put it on the record, to preserve the record that the body, because they're presenting to us, correct? Right. Did the body say that they met it or they didn't meet it? Right. That's how it's, George?
Well, typically the chairperson of the meeting makes those type of determinations.
Okay.
And I think Mr. Winker needs a determination. That could be an issue for the appellate courts.
Right.
So,
I just didn't hear it, is why I'm asking. Okay.
So I'm going to, you guys are going to have, thank you. So I'm going to proceed. I just I object to them not being able to provide the testimony, but I know you guys want to move it along. So with that, I'd like to start. We're here today on a very specific issue. This is an appeal of a denial of the waivers requested by the Playhouse. That is the determination that you have to make. Was the decision correct? Is the evidence there to allow them to have this waiver? Commissioner Regalado said that the county objects to being called a developer. And one of the things that's made this a very unique situation is I do a lot of work working with developers. And we are here with the city, we're at the city, pushing back against the county, who is the developer here. And so I want to be very clear as I go into this. A lot of the things that are happening here are the county's own doing that leads to these problems, and I believe the evidence is going to show that the correct decision was made, and the correct decision is to deny these waivers at this point. I think that we have to look at this a little bit globally. This is a civic use space. This is public space. When it stopped operating, as of today, it's 100% civic space. By my calculations, it's being turned into approximately 90% commercial space. You can do that. There's nothing that stops a developer from buying up a property and changing its use. I was involved with the Calusa Golf Course, a golf course which was Parks and Rec. At the county level, they changed that. But to change that, you have to go through the processes to make that change. Here, the county is trying to avoid that. And what they're using is these waivers and exceptions to come in and turn a property, really change the essential use of the property. Your appointees at the PZAB balked at that. They were very quick to point out, like, this is not how this is supposed to work. These exceptions are designed to allow, I'll use the Arsh Center as an example. There's 2 restaurants. There's an event space. There's little bars. That's what this is designed for, not to turn the Playhouse into 35,000 feet of commercial activity. They can do that, but they need to go through a change of zoning. And I'm going to go into the issues with that. But I just wanted to set the stage for what we're here about. That's what you're deciding on. As an initial matter, I believe the commission can reject this waiver. The county is not the owner of this property, just to refresh everyone's memory. The state of Florida is the owner. And in the City of Miami Code, if you're not the owner of a property, you have to file what's called an authorization to act. It's a notarized form signed by the owner or owner's representative. They don't have it. There's no argument they have it. It became an issue at the last hearing where they said they insisted that the state of Florida knows about what's happening.
Mr. Winker?
Yes.
So we're at 4 minutes. I think we could go a little longer. Do you agree,
I
Mr.
don't-
Pardo? Okay.
And I'll try to do it.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
And so, in that case, as an initial matter, as a fundamental legal matter, they have not properly applied for this permit, and there is nothing on the record that shows that they have any permission from the property owner to make this application. I put on the thing, actually, it's very interesting. The owner is listed as Jimmy Morales as the applicant, and the primary owner is also listed as that. Again, just improper. If any normal property owner had applied that, it would have been kicked out. Bring us back the signature of the owner. Do this properly. The county is asking for waivers to increase the lot coverage from 50% to 62.4%, reduce green space from 30% to 14.9%, increase driveway width, and allow pavement in front setbacks to increase from 30% to 100%. You hear residents complain about this all the time. This is not acceptable. This is not necessary for this project. It should be disallowed. One big issue, the lack of a traffic study. In the analysis, your planning director said, after reviewing the facts of the application, it was determined that a traffic study shall not be required. Again, non-starter. You should just, right now, just say, do the traffic study, come back when you have a traffic study. Just completely unfair to these residents and taxpayers to not have that done. This is based on a hardship. They have to show that they cannot build the project that they want to build because of a hardship, and that reasonable development is not permitted. It's not the case here. Financial gain is not hardship. They have not shown hardship. It's self-induced. And finally, I bring it to the issue of incompatibility. This is out of scale, and the testimony you heard undermines the neighborhood character. I went through the adverse impacts, and again, I go back to what a waiver is for. Permits minor deviations. Waivers are not intended to relieve specific cases of financial hardship, nor to allow circumventing the intent of the code. That's the bottom line. They're trying to circumvent the code. And I leave you with that. Please vote no on all 4 waivers. Make them go back to the drawing board. Bring back a project that is good for the neighborhood and works for these neighbors.
Mr. Kirtley?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very briefly, we clearly disagree with Mr. Winker's characterization of the project and of the facts. We do have authority to pursue this project. We do have the professional recommendation of your staff, which has gone through all of the requests and applied their professional expertise. If there are particular questions or areas of concern that the commission has, we have the presentation. The commissioner is here. We have our very talented director that can address any specifics.
And Madam Mayor, I will add one thing. As I mentioned in my presentation, a lot of the issues are being confounded. We're happy to show you the square footage for what we're building. We are partnered with the Miami Parking Authority, who is building a parking garage, and that parking garage has commercial space. We have nothing to do with that. That was a determination that was made by the city of Miami that asked everyone involved to ensure that these projects were self-sustaining. We are bringing back a historical building, and the uses that we have are civic and educational. There are some commercial, but it is commercial that existed when the building was open, and it is part of our restoration of that building. So there's a lot of misrepresentations made. We're happy to answer them one by one. Currently, this is an asphalt jungle. There are no trees. We are planting trees. We are asking for a waiver because we were asked by the residents to provide a sidewalk. We can take out the sidewalk and plant more trees, but the residents don't want that. They want a sidewalk, and there currently isn't a sidewalk. So every single variance that is being requested is a variance that exists because the city of Miami asked us to do these things. And we're happy to go through them one by one if that is your preference, but we have been litigating with Mr. Winker for over a decade in what is the world's longest bid protest. And we're here to answer your questions.
Commissioner Pardo, I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, I do have some comments. I have a quick question for the city attorney. When it failed at PZAB, it failed because it was a supermajority, correct?
Correct. I believe the vote was 5-4.
5-4, so 5 in favor, 4 against. So it's the
but the Miami 21
supermajority.
code requires a
supermajority. That's why it failed. So this obviously has been an incredibly contentious and emotional issue in Coconut Grove, decades long, contentious, emotional issue. And from the days when I first started knocking on doors and listening to residents, it became very clear that people just wanted something positive done. People wanted to stop the arguing, the bickering, the fighting, and how do we get to a place where we reach an understanding and we do something that is respected and wanted. I think the county has done a good job of designing and trying to preserve as much as could be preserved, including some of the business square footage that was originally in front of the Coconut Grove Playhouse. Obviously, we're building a parking garage. There was a gentleman here earlier criticizing us because it wasn't tall enough, because it doesn't have enough parking spaces. But no, they respected the character of the neighborhood in the backside, and I think we, in our office, myself, have been very intentional about preserving everything that has to do with identity, culture, the West Grove Little Bahamas. We think about it every single day. So we're very committed to this. We have a series of conditions that we want to read into the record. But when you hear that this is a big commercial thing, it's just not. The biggest commercial piece is parking. And then you have a theater, which is being restored, which the community wants to see happen again in Coconut Grove. It's not going to be a 1,200-person theater. It's a, 350? Okay, so much less traffic, much less congestion. All of the traffic is geared to main highway, not the backside. We've made some conditions that also help protect the backside and the neighborhood in the back. Another thing I want to say, it doesn't end here. The commitment here is to continue the conversation. We held a community meeting right here in City Hall. It was packed house. We heard from everyone. After that, we received an email from Grace Hoda Ministerial Alliance telling us we're good. If we stick to these conditions and we have a commitment to keep working on this, we're good. As the county commissioner mentioned, there are some things that are within the purview of the city. I just want to go ahead and read these conditions into the record so that the residents know exactly what we're agreeing to. No commercial frontage into Little Bahamas single-family neighborhood. Include a buffer wall enclosure in the rear of the theater and parking garage. Traffic study, which I believe it's already, okay, so traffic study and traffic mitigation plan for construction of the Playhouse and ultimate operations developed with residents. So this is something that we will be very committed to, and we will play, our office will play a very big role in. First source for hiring and living wages. As the commissioner mentioned, there's some state preemptions, but guess what? We can go out to the community and we can do our best effort to make sure that we're trying to meet that. And we do that with other things. So I feel pretty good about that. Meaningful access for historical churches and community organizations. Absolutely. Even if we take an allocation from our office and we try to make that happen, we are happy to make sure that there is that kind of access. And consideration for investment in Little Bahamas history and landmarks. I'm extremely passionate about investing in Little Bahamas history and preservation. Our office just did $200,000 for the Ace Theater. We're working closely on Mariah Brown House. We have other designs and plans of things we want to do. So I want the residents to really feel good about the fact that this is something, it doesn't begin or end today. We've been doing this since we've been in office. This is a commitment that we extend to you, that we will continue doing this. The markers that had been removed, and people thought that it was disrespectful to have removed those markers were removed to have them preserved so that they weren't scratched, dented, damaged. They're all going to be replaced. So, and we're looking at designing more markers and even more design elements around the entire idea of history, heritage, identity, and preservation. So those are, I just wanted my colleagues to have that background because, we've never really talked about it.
Any other questions or comments?
I just want to thank Commissioner Pardo for his advocacy around this project and around Miami Marine Stadium, both of which are historical, architectural, cultural assets that the city has had closed, or city and/or county has had closed for half of my lifetime. And I know you've been working really hard to get this reopened, restored, and renovated for the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Ayala.
Go ahead, Commissioner Cabela.
I want to disclose real quick that I do know the gentleman that's representing the residents. I asked George if I have a conflict, and he says that as long as I don't have a bias against him, which I do not, I can vote. So I just wanted to put that on the record.
Okay, and Commissioner Pardo, I just want to compliment you on having another community meeting with Commissioner Regalado, and from what I heard, a lot of people understood the project as it exists today, kind of post lawsuits, and were able to come to terms with it. And I just kind of want to put on, they're asking for exceptions, but the exceptions are still so much better than what we have today. Right now we have about 2,000 square feet of green space. So we are literally going to have 8 times the amount of green space when we're done, and we will have more than double the number of trees. And the fact that the driveway is a little wider is because we're trying to make sure that there's no traffic backups. And so I realize it's push and pull on this, but I think the two of you have negotiated well. And as long as we make sure we have community access to the theater in the future. So please work with Commissioner Pardo on that. So with that, I'll entertain a motion if we're ready.
Go ahead and make that motion.
Second.
Do you need to say something?
Yeah, so the motion is to grant the appeal, which would...
Correct. Grant the appeal.
Yes.
Right. We have a motion to grant the appeal. We have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries unanimously.
As amended.
As amended.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your patience with us all
Thank
day.
you, Commissioner Regalado. Thank you, Ashley Thomas. Appreciate all your hard work.
Look forward to working.
Same meeting. I don't know. I'm not. You guys are involved.
Okay. Well, let's see. How about we march through?
Mayor Higgins, my apologies. Would it be possible to take FR2 out of order? I do apologize. We have a publishing deadline with the Miami Herald, and if we could hear FR2 now, that would help us tremendously.
Commissioner Escalona, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
I believe it's your item.
All right, let me read the title, FR2. FR2, first reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 37 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended city code titled Offenses Miscellaneous, more particularly by amending Section 37-16 of the city code titled Encampments on Public Property Prohibited, providing for revised procedures of enforcement of violations containing a severability clause and providing an effective date.
Okay. Commissioner Escalona, I'll turn it over to you as your item.
Yes. So I heard our residents today, and obviously I understand how they feel and how passionate they are about this issue. The goal is not to arrest anybody. So because of the concerns they may have, I have 2 amendments. City Attorney, can you read those amendments?
Okay, you've requested.
Oh, sorry. Can you read those amendments into the record, please?
Yes, sir. You've requested an amendment to the amendment, which is, it would be subsection 3. Prior to the enforcement of the provisions in subsections C1A and C, a police officer shall issue a verbal warning to a person maintaining an encampment in violation of this section to inform that a failure to comply with the city's prohibition against encampments may result in the person's arrest and provide a reasonable amount of time for the person to abate his or her encampment.
So if I understand this right, how it's going to work is, let's say you have somebody sleeping on the sidewalk. A police officer would approach, and James, I don't know if you want the police chief to explain how the process will work in the future, or you want to do it yourself?
Thank you, Commissioner. Not only do we have the police chief present, but we also have the lieutenant that oversees the homeless task force for the agency. We also have the legal counsel for our police department that actually worked in drafting this document available. So maybe if we could have both of them come up, I'd appreciate it.
And I just wanted to correct you to a certain degree in that it wouldn't be necessarily sleeping, it would be an encampment. An encampment under the ordinance as it presently exists is the unauthorized use of fabric, metal, cardboard, and other materials as a tent or other temporary structure, the unauthorized use of a bed, mattress, or bedroll in a public place, the unauthorized use of a heating device in an area, or the unauthorized accumulation of personal property other than durable medical equipment that would not fit in a container 3 feet high, 3 feet wide, and 3 feet deep. So they'd have to meet those elements.
So question number 1, if there are no beds, if you offer a bed to an individual doing any of these activities, you offer a bed, they refuse, they either have to move or they go to jail. Is that right?
Well, yeah, the first critical component here is that there's bed space available for these individuals.
So if you don't have any beds, you cannot make the arrest. Is that accurate?
Correct.
Okay. That's what I wanted to get out there, because it looked like we just wanted to arrest everybody, and that's not the goal. That's not what we want to do, so I just wanted to get that clear.
Yes, sir.
I have some questions about that.
Commissioner Pardo.
Thank you. My concern would be, for example, there's someone near my home that is outside a lot with an umbrella, cardboard box, sitting in a chair with their stuff. You know, if somebody complains about that situation, what would the police do in that sense?
Absolutely.
Is that an encampment, having an umbrella and creating a small area?
So what I want to harp on, Commissioner, here and to the entire team is that we're allowed to utilize our discretion, and we're human beings. We're trained in this field, and we have a dedicated team of folks that deal with these type of issues on a daily basis that know our unhoused population, many of them on a personal level. Lieutenant Valadares and his team do an amazing job building that rapport and getting resources. So arrest for us or any type of enforcement is a last resort. The critical component, it just gives us a tool to be able to enforce certain actions in situations which actually occur very rarely, right? We've only had 2 arrests dealing with encampment issues year to date this entire year. So this is a tool that's not used often. However, it gives us an opportunity for those cases that are very rare to seek other alternative actions. But yeah, our team is dedicated to assisting and providing resources for these individuals. And absolutely, officers have discretion at the end of the day. So when we encounter a situation like that, we're able to use alternative measures to deal with it.
Yeah, I think I definitely am concerned about us being perceived in any manner or opening a door for criminalization of homeless people.
I agree.
I think that's what we're all trying to prevent. And from a policy perspective, when I hear something like a reasonable time, a warning and what's a reasonable time? I mean,
yeah, the last thing.
So in a way, I'm also trying to protect our force, our police force,
absolutely,
so that somebody doesn't make an error in judgment and it ends up being just a really bad situation, a human situation.
Commissioner Escalona was very transparent in our meetings and our conversations with the entire team, and he's fully aware and he's very sympathetic to those same concerns. Reasonable time allows us to utilize that discretion. What we don't want to do is anchor on certain time frames, and it was 5 minutes over, 10 minutes over, and then we are, in a situation where we need to enforce something that really should use other tactics.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I, Madam Chair? Can I? Okay. So, because I've had some problems that apparently you're having, and I guess all of us are having.
I think we all. Yes.
Yeah. When I came in, I asked this question, and I had an idea. Right. My idea was, since Miami Beach was exporting part of their problem to us, I don't know if you're aware of that, and because TGK, everybody lands up and they give them a ride over here, and then they land up in the 7th Avenue corridor, my district, and Camila's house. My idea was, why don't we do like an ID system of the guys that are ours per se, okay, that that are not shuffled from other, to see if we can cut down on the amount of problems that we have with this situation, because it's not only the ones technically that are in our city that belongs to us, okay, per se. How do you judge that? That's hard, right? But there's definitely other cities sending their problem to us, and we've never dealt with that problem. Nobody wanted to maybe send a letter to over there to Miami Beach and others say, hey, you guys got to take care of your problem. You can't just keep on sending it over here. You know what I mean? So, and then the other part that I just wanted to add on, the key, I think, is having beds, because if you don't have beds, then you hamper him because he can't do anything, right? If we don't have beds, you can't arrest him, can you? Right? You can arrest him and you say, well, we can take you to a place, we got a bed, we'll take you. And then if he doesn't want to do it, right, then you have the option to arrest him. Is that correct? Exactly. But if we don't have the beds, you don't have that option.
Exactly.
Good.
You're right.
Absolutely. Yeah, we can definitely explore different options, sir, to see how we can
what I'm saying is that we need to get money to have these Camila's houses and others have beds. So then you can do your job, because if we don't have that, you can't do your job, but kind of what you want to do, right?
Sure.
Madam Mayor, Chair?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
I'd like to ask our director of the HEAT team, because in Overtown, when I got elected, there were a lot of encampments. I'd like to know what the difference is. I'm concerned about the term reasonable. What is reasonable notice for someone that is houseless? Is that 24 hours? Is that 72 hours? Is that a week? In Overtown, when I got elected, we had a huge problem with encampment right underneath the expressway. We don't have that anymore, do we, David? Could you step up and share what we have done? Because I agree with you. I'm completely sympathetic to our houseless situation. I do not want them to be criminalized, nor do I believe it's fair to have criminal activity. In Overtown, I was very sensitive to these encampments because it took up a block, 2 blocks, where children had to go to school. They would have to walk in the street, which was dangerous, and having them come home, possibly being snatched into one of these tents. It was really bad. We don't have that anymore. What did we do in Overtown? Because I didn't create any additional legislation. What did we do in Overtown that has eliminated, for the most part, this issue?
Well, there was 2 things. Well, David Gilbert, Human Service Director. We went to a model for moving people directly from the streets into permanent supportive housing. That was the shift that happened in District 5, and it's happening actually across the city of Miami. So as opposed to just offering shelter beds, we are getting individuals ready for permanent supportive housing while they're on the streets. So that eliminated the majority of the encampments, and we have worked with the Homeless Trust to be working up different facilities that are outside of the city, as the commissioner mentioned, so we don't have the centralized population of homelessness within the city of Miami.
Let me ask you, David, what resources do we offer right now to homeless?
We offer substance abuse and treatment. We offer family reunification plans. We offer individuals to go to ALFs. We offer shelter beds, just a plethora of things, depending on the needs of that actual homeless individual. We have the hotel motel program, which offers individuals that are family and they have minor kids. We have roughly 60 people on a daily basis in the hotel motel program, but within the shelter system is roughly 1,600 people on a daily basis within the shelter system.
We also bought beds, right?
Yes.
By the way, how is that bed buying business that we seem to have had a problem last year with Camilla's house? Remember that when they changed the contract on us? Whatever did happen with that? Because I call you guys, we used to call you guys quite often, remember that? I mean, whatever did happen with it, did we acquire the same amount of beds? Did we not? Whatever.
Those actual beds went away, but there were an expansion to other facilities. So you had Chapman that increased beds throughout the South location and the Up North location. He was able to purchase beds at the Miami Rescue Mission, which created those additional spaces. So just to say that, we have additional 80 beds that are coming online at the end of this month, which is a low barrier facility, which is an unincorporated day, along with the 148 beds that the Judge Lifeman Center as well.
So let me ask you this. Are we up to the same capacity that we were prior to the little crisis there that we had with Camilla's house?
We will be by the end of the month.
Did we have a net gain of more beds or less? I mean,
it will be by the end of the year. It will be just it will be equaled out by the end of the year.
Will be what? A net gain? The same? What?
It's the same.
The same. But it's not right now.
Not right now.
And we also are looking at extra beds in D5, right?
That is correct.
And that's going to be like approximately 120 beds?
Yes. Yes.
120 beds. We identified another space. And the point I'm trying to make is I don't know that we need to create additional legislation, and it will result in arrest, I believe. I think what we have now is sufficient, particularly because I've seen it in Overtown. It was bad, and scary. And our former mayor 1, 2, 3 times back, Mayor Suarez, but Dad Suarez, not Son Suarez, he called me and said, "What are you doing?" Because I just drove through Overtown, and I've never seen it like that. And it was really bad. So I don't know that anything different is happening or it's any worse. We also had an aggressive street cleaning initiative and sidewalk cleaning initiative, correct?
That is correct.
We would post notice that on Tuesday at 12 o'clock, a street cleaning was going to happen. And clean the street, clean the sidewalk, and eventually we got all of those tents, mattresses, nightstands, because what happens is people come into our community and they drop off their unwanted furniture. And then they use this furniture. But all of that furniture, all of those things have to go away once you put the notice that the streets are going to be cleaned. So they have noticed that if to get your stuff, because this is their belongings. Like part of the resolution, part of your item says that they can take what they can in. I mean, sometimes their home is literally packed into a shopping cart, and that might not fit the criteria of that's acceptable. So I would want us to tread lightly, and I really don't think that this item is needed. The vigilance is needed. And even with this item, you still have to remain vigilant. You have to remain vigilant, because if you don't, they will come back and they will come back. But we remained vigilant. Every week or so, we had the street cleaning, the sidewalk cleaning, correct?
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to say right now, just so you guys know, right now, the Bayfront Trust, we're going to vote on giving the Hermanos de la Calle, I think I said $300,000 is what I said. I might give a little bit more, but I also want to take care of your situation. We did something with the Salvation Army last year from my office, and we gave them money. Now, I haven't kept track of that all the time because I got a lot of stuff on my plate, but do you know where we're at on that?
I think they're still in the process of doing an expansion. They're closing down offices and creating more dormitories on the second floor. I think it hasn't been completed as of yet.
Commissioner Pardo, you've been waiting patiently.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a quick question. So when a person doesn't accept housing, what happens to them? I mean, if you're offering them a bed and they say, I'm not interested in that, I want to just stay with the shopping cart, my umbrella.
We continue to build a rapport and try to provide them permanent supportive housing. If shelter is not an option,
so they're not going to jail. No. Because my understanding of this whole thing is that it eliminates a bureaucratic need to issue a written warning, which is cumbersome and actually delays being able to get them and to assist. Is that your read on this?
But it also allows for other services that to be provided, not just shelter beds.
So you're fully supportive. Okay. Okay.
Mr. Manager, you've been waiting patiently to say something as well.
I just wanted to add to a comment from Commissioner Gabella about the IDs and keeping track of where they're at. I do want to inform you that under our director's leadership, we do maintain a database, an index of our homeless population, and we do a census regularly to be able to identify where they tend to try to live while they're in our community. So we're not issuing IDs at the time, but we do have a database that tells us their identification, who they are, and where they reside in our city.
David, I have one question for you. In the county, do you know which city does the most for homeless? Offer more resources, etc. Do you happen to have an idea?
I can't speak for other cities, but I can tell you that the city of Miami has a substantial investment in the homeless. Just last year alone, without reporting some of the other departments, it was over the $20 million investment, $8 million to the Hideaway Bay for permanent supportive housing solutions. We have $6 million invested in our department. We gave $200,000 to Lotus. We gave another $600,000 to Chapman. So it's just a significant investment to all of the community partners, along with the Homeless Trust, to provide the necessary resources to support unsheltered individuals.
Are you working with Hermanos de la Calle?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Madam Chair, can you call the question, please?
All right. I have I presume you'd like to make a motion as amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Yeah,
All right.
actually, I didn't
Would
get
you like-
the opportunity to speak. I wanted to say, no, it's okay, it's okay.
Is that okay with you, Commissioner Escalona?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted to thank Chairwoman King. I had not heard about that before, about the notices when you're doing sidewalk pressure cleaning. That is really a very smart tactic. At the DDA, we started about a week ago pressure cleaning sidewalks, but I don't think that's part of the process that we undertake. So my guess is that we're just avoiding certain spots. So I'm going to make sure to talk to the staff about that because I think that could be helpful. On this one, I want to support what I know is Commissioner Escalona's goal. This is one where I need a little more time to kind of wrap my brain around it in terms of the different possibilities. I know that Mr. Gilbert is doing a wonderful job, and I've now gotten a chance to kind of do a deep dive on the various agencies that help out and their different roles. But on this one, I need a little more time to kind of do my own research. Just want to explain my position for right now.
Would you be open to deferring it?
No. You can vote against it. That's okay.
I don't want to vote against it.
This
is one where I just like a little more time for it, if that's okay.
Motion on the floor?
There's a motion on the floor, so the only way to do that is to make a motion to defer. So that's.
Yeah, so there's already a motion to approve.
He's a motion on the second.
Yeah.
So we have a motion and a second?
Yep. And Commissioner Gabella, you accept the amendment, correct?
Yeah, I accepted the amendment. I seconded it.
Commissioner Escalona, you wouldn't consider a little more time on this one just to bring it back to September?
Very clear. We also, I understand what it is being homeless. I get that. But we also need to be honest, and we also need to understand that we have residents. I invite you all to stop by Flagrant 12 and see Flagrant 12. It's a disaster. I am not going to have a district like that. With all due respect, I understand that people go through situations in life, but we are providing the resources that are needed for them to go to shelter. Nobody here is saying we're going to go and arrest you. No. We're providing resources, not only beds, we're providing way more than that. So I genuinely don't understand what the issue with this is, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. Gilbert, are you comfortable with the revised version of this? I mean, you're much more of an expert on this matter than I am. And Chief Lopez, what are your thoughts? What is your recommendation?
I'm comfortable with it, but I would tend to lean to PD from an enforcement standpoint.
You're comfortable with it, Chief Lopez? What are your thoughts on this, on the revised version?
Yes, sir. I'm supportive of it as well. I lean on the director's opinion as well, and those are conversations that we've had. And most importantly, Lieutenant Valadares, who's out in the community every single day. We hear about it, we read about it, we experience it occasionally. These officers do this every single day. He leads a core group of Miami PD folks who are out and about engaging, and those are the folks that I've spoken with in detail about it, and they're supportive as well, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Escalona, you'll have my support.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vote. We have a motion, we have a second, as amended, Mr. Clerk. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any
No.
opposed?
I'm a no vote.
One no vote. Show Commissioner King as a no vote. All right, thank you very much. I guess we'll go back to our regular order. So, public hearing items. Does anyone want to bifurcate any of the public hearing items?
No.
Okay, none. Mr. Clerk, I know you have to amend them to add some resolution numbers. Do you want to read that?
Yes, thank you, Chair. PH3 will be amended to add a City Commission resolution number to the body of the legislation. PH4 will be amended to add a City Commission resolution number to the body of the legislation. PH6 is going to be amended to add a City Commission resolution number to the body of the legislation. And PH7 will be amended to add a City Commission resolution number to the body of the legislation. Thank you, Chair.
All right, so I will take a motion on all the public hearing items as amended.
So move.
Second.
All right, second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so show all of those passed. All right, now on the remaining resolutions, does anyone want to bifurcate anything? We've already passed RE5. Anybody want to separate anything from RE1 to RE14?
I'd like to pull RE11 and RE10. I guess RE9 and 10 go together.
Yeah, they do.
9, 10, and 11.
9, 10, and 11. Anybody have anything else?
Give me a minute here, please.
I'm sorry, say that again?
No, 1 minute, please.
Okay, no rush.
City Attorney, for RE3, we cannot discuss publicly what we were told. I was told, right?
Okay.
Let me have, could you just go up to that mic? We're represented by outside counsel on this issue, and I'll introduce Mr. Fabian Ruiz.
I just want to know for the public to understand what can be discussed of the conversation that we had with you.
So the conversations that you have with me as a lawyer are privileged conversations. We shouldn't be having those publicly. I think you can ask certain questions, and we can kind of try to navigate, what the response.
Can you explain how we got here with RE3?
Please, Mr. Attorney.
Through the chair. So this is a pension lawsuit. This was filed in 2006.
So you're talking 20 years ago.
This is a 20-year case. And, I jumped into this case in December of 2025 because there was a period of time where there was not much happening in the case. Since December, roughly, of 2025, there has been activity in the case. And now we're, effectively set for trial in a couple of weeks. This is a settlement that has been agreed to in terms of the number and the terms of the settlement. And it's now being presented for approval by the City Commission.
I mean, there are a lot of things that we can say, but look at the commission. I remember when I was running the fights, sorry, Gabela, the fights in Gabela we have with Carollo, and the disagreements that Pardo have with Carollo as well. I don't believe. So you have to see all the facts to understand why we're moving forward the way we are, and they can see that later on, right? Because this becomes public after, 3 months or something like that? City Attorney?
So, upon the conclusion of the litigation.
The shade sessions that were had will become public. Yes.
Exactly. So when you see the facts, you're going to understand a lot of things. That's all.
Okay, so before we go there, what I'm going to say...
All right, folks.
Yeah.
It seems like we're bifurcating RE3. All right, so let's go back to where we were. Stay there. I think they're going to ask you another question. Unless you need the steps. All right, so we have bifurcated RE3, RE9, RE10, RE11. Anything else? All right, I'll entertain a motion on RE1, RE2, RE4, RE6, 7, 8, 12, 13, and 14. Mr. Clerk.
RE8 was withdrawn.
Oh, RE8 was withdrawn. Yes, sorry about that.
And additionally, my apologies, RE12 and RE13 will be as amended.
Yes. Okay, I have a motion on all of that.
Motion.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now we will return to RE3. Commissioner Gabella, I think you were the one with the next question,
Okay,
is that
so,
correct?
yeah, I'm gonna watch my words here, so I don't get.
Let's be careful.
So I don't get, okay, so the only thing that, and I'm gonna go along because at the same meetings, you guys decided to go, you know, the consensus was, we do this, but, you know, what bothers me about this, you know, since I've gotten here, I've been dealing, you have too, and Madam Chair, you guys haven't because you just got here a while back, but anyway, we've been here, we've been dealing with the Carollo matter, okay? And when I went into those, you know, meetings, every single time, it's been like 10 meetings or 12, okay, I've been told, but when I would ask a question, shouldn't we settle, you know, with the Fullers and this and this? You know, no, let's keep going, going.
I want to make sure that we're not getting somewhere where they're attorney-client conversations, and I don't think you're having, I don't think you're mentioning anything that relates.
No, don't. This is an opinion. This is not anything that's going to have an effect on your case one way or the other. Okay?
No, I'm just saying, and I don't think this goes into the case that I'm working on. I think it relates to other matters.
No. Well, but then if it doesn't go into the case, you don't have to worry about anything. I'm just talking then to talk, right?
Will we do that? That's probably something best
No,
for
but
the shade meeting.
no, but this needs to be said so the public can understand part of what he's talking about. Okay, so my natural thing to this would be to vote against it. I've stated that on the record. Okay, I'm not going to say anything else to that. However, what upsets me is that in the past, regarding the other cases where Carollo was the defendant. Let's say that, and the others were the plaintiff. We were told that continue to the end, and no matter what money it costs us, don't ever settle and let's go to court. But then all of a sudden, Carollo comes over here. He's asking for, you know, now $760. And all of a sudden, we're being told, oh, don't go to court. Pay now. That's what bothers me. Okay? I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
I agree with him.
All right, so despite our total dismay about this item, no offense to your legal services.
Yeah.
Do I have a motion?
Move.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
No, I'm not going to be the second.
I know. I would never.
I am not going to be the second.
I'm looking at anyone except you. And it's Commissioner Rosado's birthday, so we can't ask him.
I'm going to go along kicking and screaming.
But maybe because it's your birthday, you could just do a favor. I don't. We can all hold our noses while we vote on this if we need to.
Pardo?
Don't look at me.
It dies for lack of a second. This will die for lack of a second, and we would go to court.
We'd have to go to trial.
Which I think we all know costs more. So that is.
That's why I wanted to discuss.
Yeah.
All the issues that we have in this case.
Yeah, but it's hard to do that. All right, so no one is willing to second.
I'll second.
All right.
I'll second.
And then we'll owe you a second on another thing you don't want to do in the future. All right, so everyone please hold your nose as we vote on this item. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, show that item passed begrudgingly by our commission.
I'd like to thank Attorney Ruiz for his fine service in this matter as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're sorry you have this case. All right, RE3. Now we're on to RE9 and 10, which are connected, I think. Who would like, I know Commissioner King, you pulled.
I would just like some information on this item. I don't understand why we would be taking away the option to fill a vacancy by appointment. To take that away, for example, I want to use the example when Commissioner Reyes got sick, and he really worked until almost the very end. But what if we have a situation where there's a vacancy 30 days or less before an election? Then we don't have the option to fill that vacancy through appointment. And I also think that with respect to vacancies, there should be some consideration for what the district commissioner would want. I remember when I was in this situation, there was a decision to either call for a special election or appoint someone. I wanted a special election. I believe that the electorate should be able to decide who their representative would be. And I have, since I got elected, I have not changed my mind on that. But I do not believe that we should take the choice away from this body. And there are circumstances that would make an appointment feasible. I certainly, for example, if Commissioner Reyes had said, I'd like to appoint X to fill out the remainder of my term, I'm terminally ill, and this person is most aligned with me until such a time for an election, I would have honored his request. But this takes that away from this body.
May I? I don't believe we should be able to determine what they want. I believe it's the will, as you say, the will of the people. So they should elect whoever they want, not who we believe could be good for that seat. I strongly oppose appointments. To me, it's always election. Let them decide what they want, who they want to be represented with. That's my point.
So I agree with you. Again, that has been my position. But if you said, because you know what your district wants, and you said, I would like to appoint X, I'm saying I don't think we need to remove the choice, because when the body comes here and they make it clear, I go with what the community says. But now if the community says appoint, we can't do it.
But they can do it on the ballot.
No, you can't. Well, again, I don't think I just don't think we should take that away from this body, the choice. And I've always gone, since I've been elected, I've gone with special elections versus appointment. But I don't think that we should take the choice away from this body to do so.
I agree with you. And furthermore, when I remember when Rosado's election, okay, we chose election. We could have said, hey, we're going to appoint somebody, and none of us did. We said, no, let's go for election. So I understand both sides, but I'm with you.
Commissioner Pardo, you're the patient one.
I think there's a very important point here that makes City of Miami different than all the others. And that's that the way our vacancies work, if somebody makes an appointment for a vacancy, it counts as a full term. So if they choose to appoint somebody just for 6 months or for 1 month or for a day, it counts for 4 years. So it was done that way to provide a disincentive to ever accept an appointment, especially if you have political plans. There have been times in our past, like when we appointed Mrs. Thelma Gibson to sit in this chair, that was an appointment and it was perfect. It was a steward for a period of time until we could save money and align our elections so that it worked out better for the taxpayers and for everyone else. So I do think we take away that flexibility, and I think that flexibility is important. I am a big proponent of special election, have the people decide, but there are unique circumstances, and not everybody is aware of the inner workings of those kinds of issues that end up working better for our residents. So yeah, I feel the same way.
As somebody who was elected via special election, I'm very, very supportive of the process, and I agree with letting the people decide. For me, the one sort of nuance to this is how much time is left in the term, because if there's very little time, logistically, the elections department doesn't have time to pull together an election, and then, if they're able to do it, the person may just serve for 1 or 2 months. It doesn't quite make sense given the expense. My election costs almost $230,000, just to give you an idea. And so for me, I want to vote for this, but I'd like to propose a friendly amendment that there be at least 3 months left in the term. Otherwise, it's just a short-term appointment.
Can that be done, City Attorney?
So here's the thing that what I'm going to say is this. The thing is that if you do, for example, what we did in your election, you had that special election, Commissioner Rosado. What happened was in that election that it was a fast election. You know, I kind of like, you know, this is the problem, right? My point is, to your point, when you have a fast election, the candidates can't go out and meet their constituents and what it is that, and sometimes what Commissioner Pardo is necessary to do to give the candidates time to go out, meet their constituents, have a real campaign, not a campaign of weeks like you guys had. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to disparage your campaign because you worked hard. That's not what I meant. But what I mean is that sometimes we might be in a situation where we want to say, no, wait a minute, don't have the election tomorrow. Have the election in 5 months so the candidates can go out and properly campaign and know the issues, and then we'll have an election. Or let's time the election with a November election that possibly might be coming up, right? And we don't have to spend the extra money in the special election. So there's pluses. I understand where you're going, but there's also some negatives here.
And I do think because typically the body is aligned, we hear the public comments, and we listen. Taking the choice away, though, also special elections or appointments is not necessarily favorable. Appointments have been the kiss of death. You don't get an advantage. You don't enjoy incumbency like we have. And even with special elections, because what Commissioner Gabella said, the community decides so quickly, but then the person that's elected, they're in the seat, and then now the community has time to, and that doesn't work out either lately. Miami-Dade County, they only appoint a vacancy, right?
By the way,
I think that's a big mistake. I personally believe
they do a lot.
They
do a lot, right? Miami-Dade County appoints.
They did, pardon the interruption. It used to be they could appoint for a very long time, even as long as, 3.5, let's say, God forbid, something happens on day one of a term, you can appoint someone for 4 years. But we put a charter amendment on that you could appoint, but that appointment was only good until the next countywide election. So, so for example, Commissioner Lopez was appointed less than a year ago, and she's already on the ballot. So there was this idea that they didn't want to, and countywide elections, or the county is, has sometimes can be more expensive to run an election than ours. But the idea was you had the option to not run a special election, but the minute there was an election in the county, that person had to run again. But to Commissioner Pardo's point, the county is different, and appointment doesn't equal a term. Here, if you are appointed for 9 months, that's a term.
And your term limited, so.
Also one more thing. I'm talking about Rosado's election, my election. When my predecessor was taken out, okay, you guys, and we weren't here, you weren't here, I wasn't here, you were here, you guys chose to not appoint. No, it was more than that. I think it was like 2 months. But you guys you could have appointed somebody, and you guys made the choice, the constant choice, not to appoint anybody. So,
yeah. Listen, to me, this is about letting them decide what they want to do, but I understand your points.
Yeah, and just as the charter currently stands, when you get appointed, you serve essentially until the next election. So our charter is very similar to the county in that respect. I just wanted to clarify that.
So what are we doing?
Colleagues.
Motion?
You have a motion?
Yes.
Is this with the...
Mr. City Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioner King brought up an excellent point about the timing of a vacancy. And so, as we all know, the 2027 election cycle was made up of districts 1, 2, and 4. So going through a hypothetical scenario, if a vacancy occurred in any one of those 3 seats, at, let's just say, May 24th of 2027, with the current process that we have, you could either appoint, or if you decided to call for a special election, that special election would be held sometime between July 18th and July 25th. The person who would win that, the winner of the special election, would be starting to qualify 2 months later for the November 2027 general election, because it's 1, 2, and 4. Even if you use the new process that's being proposed, we would fall just short of being able to align with the November 2027 election. So it's all about timing, and that's why sometimes an appointment, not necessarily 3 months, but it's all, very rarely can you control when a vacancy occurs. And so I just want to make sure I brought up that hypothetical scenario.
Todd, do you have a recommendation then based on the election dates, the qualifying dates?
But we still can decide when we want. So let's say that I leave. The commission will decide when we have the election, right?
Well,
if this passes right now, they cannot appoint anybody.
Yeah,
and I leave tomorrow.
Yes, so basically the way it's written is the city commission would have 30 days to pick the election date.
Exactly. So that could be 3 months from now, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right?
Yeah, but the election must occur, I think it's 120 days thereafter.
And so that's where the timing becomes somewhat complicated. Right. And if it's in an even year election cycle, if we're not aligning with an August primary or a November general, the SOE could say that you need to align your special election with our election. And I'm not exactly sure how that would work if it doesn't work within our charter.
But we're also taking away a reasonable solution to that issue that the voters and the residents may really be supportive. They may be supporting it.
Do you believe that residents will support an appointment?
I believe, absolutely. I believe,
strongly disagree with you.
I know the residents totally supported Ms. Thelma Gibson being appointed in my seat. And they still,
a different time.
Well, no, not really. There are people who are stewards, and it makes sense. And by the way, back then, we didn't have that disincentive for appointments. That exists now. That's new with our term limits. So no, I actually think we would weaken the situation for our voters and our residents by taking away the option completely. I think it's extreme for being able to solve the problems that come before us, because we're going to hear them. We're going to hear their public comments. We have to. I mean, that's who we report to.
Yeah, then the problem becomes that we might have to, because of what he said, we might have a vacancy that we cannot fill because of what you said. Is that correct or not?
The timing.
The timing. It depends on the timing.
So it's possible to have a scenario where we'd have a vacancy. We'd have a district without a commissioner for a couple of months.
So if the option to appoint is removed, depending on when the vacancy occurs, you may run into more of an issue of whether or not in an even year election, if the timing would allow us to piggyback off of an August or November general election for the county. If not, if we fell short by maybe a month, the SOE would most likely tell the city that you can't have, let's just say it's a vacancy in the mayor's position. You can't have a citywide election 1 month before our primary election in August or our general election in November. It all comes down to timing.
This is one of those times where it's very complicated, because obviously we should always elect our representatives, right? That is an obvious feature of our democracy, our country, and certainly our community. But then you run into, every now and then, you have a 6 or 9 month or 1 year gap where you've got to fill things in. And when the supervisor election used to report to the county, you at least had a municipal government that had control over the supervisor elections. And we have a pretty good relationship with the county. I realized today we had a little, tit and tat with them. But in general, we have a pretty good relationship. And so you could probably work out. But the supervisor election can refuse to run a special election if it interferes with anything she's doing. Maybe there is something in here about making the appointment process more arduous. Right now, it's just a simple majority to be appointed. And to make it more considerate, perhaps you as commissioners might want to make it a supermajority or unanimous vote so that it is clear to the residents that you're not choosing to do this because you like somebody. You're choosing to do it because it lines up with another election cycle. We won't end up with a vacancy for 9 months. And then you move it to the next city election.
Right now, what do we need? A three vote?
Simple majority.
So maybe we do the 4/5 or unanimous? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what you guys.
I mean, I don't. We're having a lot of good suggestions here. I think.
You want? We can defer this item and then we can revisit.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll defer 9 and 10 indefinitely. I think there's a lot of meat in this discussion, right? Because we can end up with vacancies right now that we don't have the ability to fill properly, quickly, and efficiently within our charter. And whether that ends up being a charter amendment the next time there's an election, great. And if there's something we can do, okay. All right, so we have a motion to defer 9 and 10. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So that
And Chair, I have that as an indefinite deferral.
Yes,
Yes.
that will give Commissioner Escalona time to,
And Chair, if I may, speaking of elections, currently we have 2 ballot questions for the November 3rd, 2026 City of Miami special election. The order of the ballot questions, would you prefer to have the general obligation bond first and then the enter into lease agreement Virginia Key LLC second?
yes.
And is that unanimous consent? Is that
We'll have
okay
to-
with the body?
It's up to,
What are we doing? I'm sorry.
Just the order, there's 2 ballot questions for November later on this year, and I was just asking for direction as to the order of the questions, and if you'd like to have the general obligation bond first, and then the entering into the lease agreement with Virginia Key LLC second, I can do so just simply through unanimous consent.
sure. Okay with everybody? Okay. Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd, for reminding us of that. Okay, RE11, Commissioner King, I think you
I
pulled
did.
that, correct?
Yes, so I have an issue with RE11 because this seems like billboard shopping. This issue was first brought to my attention in District 5. It's a billboard, not a billboard. And then when I realized that, nope, this isn't a billboard, it was never actually a billboard, and now you're trying to move it over here and put it over there, and I disagree with the statement that this will not create a chain effect for other billboard companies to come back and want an amendment to their contracts that they have to pay us for billboards, et cetera, et cetera. I don't think that you should be able to, because this initiated in District 5. This initiated in District 5, and based on what was being asked of me for my community, I said no. And then they found another district to go to, and I don't think that's right. I believe that our billboards have the reasoning for the billboards and what goes on with them and the fees that we receive are there for a reason, and we're limited in where we can put billboards, how billboards can go. I would ask staff if they could come and address this issue, but I can tell you that this is happening because District 5 said no, and they found another location to go to, and I believe that poses legal challenges and implications.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Julia Serrato with the Building Department. To your question relevant to whether this would open up for more, it would, ma'am. There is a most favored nation clause in 2 of the settlement agreements where those particular advertisers would be able to request the same terms. So potentially the exchange in particular would change. This proposal is for 1 structure for 2 LED faces potentially, whereas the standard, which is in all the agreements and in the code, is 4 structures per LED phase. And I mean 4 structures takedown.
And I just like, for the record, to confirm that this billboard issue originated in District 5?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I just want to let my colleagues know that if something like that happened in your district and you said no and they came shopping it in my district, that would be a no for me because...
We are talking about billboards, right?
Right.
In districts.
Yes. Right? So, and we know how sensitive the community is about these billboards. And again, I don't believe that you should be shopping. You know, you get a no from one district, and then you go find another district that it's palatable for, in addition to the legal ramifications that we will be walking into, which is what I said, and then they went someplace else. So,
well,
I'm a no.
Okay, so, through the chair.
Yes,
okay, so then on the flip side of that, I imagine that, might there be a component here that the big guys don't want this, you know, they don't want competition?
I'm not familiar with that, sir. All I could tell you is that currently there are 3 settlement agreements, one with Clear Channel, one with Outfront, and one with Carter Outdoor. The Clear Channel and the Carter Outdoor agreements both have favored nation clauses. So essentially, if the terms of this agreement are approved, those 2 agreements could potentially come back and say, the city, we would like those same terms because they may be more favorable to them versus the terms that they currently have in their settlement agreements.
Madam Chair, I know that we have the attorneys involved with this item, the outside attorneys, and I wonder if we could hear from them because there seems to be a discrepancy between the 2 sets of attorneys.
Yes, but Mr. Avino, not for very long.
I will not be. I will try. So again, Javier.
You spoke during public comment.
Yes.
Go
again,
ahead,
for the record, Javier Avino, law office is at 1450 Brickell Avenue. So first and foremost, I do want to point out that on the 2024 prior version, as Commissioner King said, this was approved as to legal form and sufficiency, and at no point in time were there concerns raised in that legislation as to you know,
approved by who?
It's a
draft. It's not approved. Because if it was approved, it would have come forward.
I know, but all I'm suggesting is that at that point in time,
it wasn't approved. That was a draft. It wasn't. If it was approved,
it was reviewed.
It was reviewed, and it was not
accepted. Commissioner Rosado has the floor, so we can get to you after Commissioner Rosado finishes.
So I just wanted to clarify.
I was just answering him because he spoke to me directly.
No, I was just pointing for the record that in 2024, at that point in time, it was reviewed for legal form and sufficiency and signed off for legal form and sufficiency. And so there wasn't at least a perceived or raised concern with the items that staff has just mentioned. That said, I do think it's important for Tom Julian, who's with Gunster Oakley, who has been the forefront of the most favored nation clauses and involved with the settlement agreements of the other major companies, to be able to provide some additional color, because I think there's a disconnect on how that portion would be applied. They can't just pick and choose aspects of the agreement that's before you that you'd be signing. They would have to wholly step into the same exact agreement in its completeness and abandon their agreement, which does not work for any of those companies, I can assure you. But I would like Tom to address it a little bit more.
My name's Tom Julian, and I'm with the Gunster Law Firm at 600 Brickell Avenue. I've had the honor to represent the outdoor advertising companies since 2000. And so my experience with this goes back to National Advertising's case against the city of Miami, and then SD Media's predecessor, South Florida Equity's lawsuit against the city of Miami. And I was involved with all of the negotiations back then in the 2000s and going forward. The most favored nations clauses came up when Carter and Clear Channel were settling, and they were concerned that their major competitor, CBS Outdoor, would get perhaps a better deal because they were holding out, they were continuing to litigate. And the most favored nation clause that was put into the Clear Channel and Carter agreements was an unusual clause. It's not like the normal most favored nation clause that says, you know, if we have to pay $2 and you give somebody else a deal that says $1, then we get the $1. It wasn't anything like that at all. It was a very unusual clause. And it said, if, in the event the city shall reach a settlement with any billboard owner, then Clear Channel or Carter may elect to be governed by all terms, conditions, covenants, and restrictions contained in that settlement. Clear Channel wanted to make sure if CBS got a different deal, it could elect to have all of the same deal. It couldn't pick and choose from a subsequent deal. The settlement agreement that's being proposed for SDE Media is unique to a company that is seeking a single permit in exchange for what it's going to give the city. So it's not, this particular covenant is not something that any of the other billboard companies, the three big companies with the boards that are all over the city, it's not something that they even as a practical matter could in any way, shape, or form elect. It wouldn't make any sense. There's not, I don't believe, a judge in this city that would say, yes, you can have the SDE Media deal now and just ignore every aspect of your other deals. So the whole idea that they can now take this settlement and use it to get a better deal, that's, I think, preposterous. Okay. What this is, it's an attempt by the three companies to keep out one small competitor.
Okay, thank you. To our city attorney, you want to explain that to all of us?
Well, the one thing is that notwithstanding what council just said, and I appreciate that in their proposed agreement, they would defend and save the city from any of this litigation. So to that one point, but I disagree. I think that if I was Carter or these other entities, the agreement that matters is the one between the city, not the one that they had. And so I think it would be worth litigating. Number two, what Mr. Avino, I think, was sort of preempting when he made his comments about why was this resolution approved as to form and correctness? Because when we did a deeper dive in this, we noted that the city code, section 62-618.3, has a provision that says new billboards prohibited without exception, comma, no new freestanding billboards as defined herein shall be permitted anywhere within the territorial boundaries of the city. So the question is, and the dispute we have with Mr. Avino is, if they want to put a billboard in District 1, 3 or 4, that would be a new billboard because one doesn't exist there. They had a billboard that was removed in 2019 and it's gone. They had the opportunity to sue, just like in fact, I believe they did sue, and they dropped their litigation against the city. So in our view, the question of whether or not I don't see how you can put a new billboard in the city without being in contravention of section 62-618.3, because there is no billboard that currently exists. The following provision, 62-618.4, relocation and reconstruction of existing billboards permitted, that's built into the agreements that's in the code, and that permits the entities that already have billboards to relocate them to different portions in the city. So it's, you've got 300 billboards in the city, you move one, you still have 300 billboards. Here, this would be a net gain of one billboard if they're permitted to put in a billboard. I think that that would be a fairly simple argument to make to the court. And further, I think that the statute of limitations is run on these issues. This ordinance went into effect in 2012. The settlements were all resolved in the 2011, I'm sorry. And so I do appreciate the fact that if the commission were to disagree with me and we were to be sued, they would be paying for the defense of the city. But I'm fearful of moving forward just based on an assurance of indemnity.
May we
Commissioner Gabella, you have a question?
Can I? Okay. So you're telling me, so for example, let's say it was in my area, and I said, no, I don't want to do it, right? And they moved to somewhere else. How is it a net gain when the one in my area, I just said, no, you're not going to do it, right? How, explain to me how, because I'm seeing as you're moving over here, you got 300 and you're moving all over the place.
Right.
But explain to me if it's.
So the three companies, Carter.
How does it, well, you're not letting them in your area, right, period?
No, I couldn't. First of all, there's some history that's being left out. It's not even a billboard, and there's some state issues. Attorney Dooley could speak to that. It's not even a billboard.
Correct.
So it's not that if it was a billboard, I would have placed the billboard in D5 when they wanted to do it. There's several issues that go along with this that they're not talking about, because I'm not unreasonable. You know, they were going to give me community benefits from this billboard if, in fact, we could have made it work. But there were several issues going along, one of which they didn't have a billboard.
If they don't have a billboard, what are they?
Exactly.
Well, I'm asking.
I would defer to our city attorneys to speak to that.
At some point, can we respond after?
Good afternoon, Rachel Dooley, Assistant City Attorney. So all of this goes back to pre-2010, so you have to think along those lines. The owner of this billboard, which was not ever a billboard. So there was a billboard structure with two static faces on it on top of a building called the Boardwalk billboard is what they called it. It was never a permitted billboard in the city of Miami. It was always an illegal billboard in the city of Miami. They were cited in 2010 for the violation of the city code. They were found in violation. They appealed that violation along with all of the other billboard companies that were appealing at that time. They dropped their appeal. The billboard itself had an FDOT tag on it when the owner bought it from the other people. However, the billboard structure itself was completely illegal. So that billboard ran a lien for over 3,000 days to several $100,000. It was taken down in 2019 by the owner because he was selling the property, the owner of the property. That is the only reason why that thing came off that structure. It is also important to note that the person coming before you proceeded to continue to illegally advertise on that billboard, collect revenues, and never pay a permit to the city. So those are one of the issues. So when the billboard settlements all went through in 2010, in 2011, in April of 2011, and I believe council was there at the time. Yeah. It was Warren Bittner from my office who would have been standing here. Their settlement agreement, which is right here from 2011, was rejected by the commission. They already had it rejected. They did nothing after their settlement agreement was rejected. They decided to keep coming back for the last 15 years.
We have to at some point interject here. I mean, like.
Well, I think you've had plenty of time today, so if I could finish, that would be great. Thank you. So those are basic facts of the case. Now they're here, and I think that one of the main issues is whether you decide, their argument is that, well, we took it down. They didn't really take it down. It was forced down. They're going to pay the back permit fees owed. And so it's a takedown. It's not a new billboard. However, it never was a legal billboard in the city of Miami. So that is the first hurdle. The second hurdle is it's been 16 years. They gave up all of their legal arguments in court and in federal court. Counsel, who is here now, also argued to the commission back in 2011 that they only filed that lawsuit so that they could get a settlement agreement, not necessarily that they had a case. They were looking for a settlement agreement. And that's in those transcripts from that commission meeting. And so that's where we are today. Currently, any billboard company that wants to have LEDs, because you make a lot of money off LEDs, They have to give up 4 full monopoles, so that's 2 sides each of static for 1 LED sign face, right? So, because the goal was to lower the number of billboards. The proposal here is I have 1 billboard, this 1 monopole billboard that was static, and there's a second billboard that they wanted credit for, which still would only give them 2 billboards, not even 4, not even enough for 1 LED sign face. But they would like the option in this agreement for 2 LED sign faces and or getting 2 actual poles, which was never part of any other discussion. So that would be sort of the facts as they went. It did come before in 24, but it was withdrawn.
Okay.
Through District 5.
All right, colleagues, any more discussion or thoughts on this? Commissioner Rosado, how would you like to proceed?
Aren't they going to talk?
Actually, can we at least hear the record?
I have control of the meeting. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Commissioner Rosado,
Madam,
how would you like to proceed?
Madam Chair, I do want to give them the opportunity to clear the record.
Okay, that's fine.
So there's a couple of points I'd like to make, and that is, number one, the claims that were made originally back in 2000 were that the way that the city was permitting signs was unconstitutional. That lawsuit did not address the merits of that claim. It was determined to be moot because the city changed the ordinance before an adjudication of the claim. When the lawsuit was brought in 2011, the city of Miami again changed its ordinance, which was alleged to be unconstitutional, and it was deemed to be moot. The claims were never addressed. The claim that SD Media now has is that the way that the city is engaged in permitting is unconstitutional, violates the First Amendment for many different reasons, and you can just look at the code itself. One of the things that's very interesting in the code is the last section of the code has a special section for Carter, Clear Channel, and CBS that says all these standards that are being applied now to SDE Media do not apply to those 3 companies that got these very large deals with the city, paying them fees for their permits. Now, the SDE Media position today is we would like to be treated the same as those other 3 companies to have 1 board. They helped, in fact, CBS to get the permits from the city by doing various things, and their deal with CBS was they would get 1 sign, and the other companies would get their hundreds of signs. So ever since that's been done, the 3 companies have been trying to keep out this 1 small competitor who is unwilling to go along. Now, the vulnerability for the city today, if you decide to reject the agreement with SDE Media goes right back to court challenging the constitutionality of this code provision that says there's a special deal for these 3 large companies that are going to keep out this competitor. And the most favored nation clause is one of the best pieces of evidence of that, because those kinds of clauses are regularly reviewed as anti-competitive. They're put in for the specific purpose of keeping a competitor out. And this is not a big competitor. This is a small competitor that wants 1 sign to compete with these 3 big companies that have all these signs and that are paying the city very large sums. So this is a fair deal that is being proposed. It's a small deal that is being proposed. It is one that cannot possibly extend in any way, shape, or form to the other 3 big companies. They cannot elect to take any of the terms here. So this would put to bed a piece of controversy that has been pending now for 15 years, came very close to being accepted 15 years ago, and is going to continue on, I suspect, for another 15 years if we can't resolve it now. And this is, I think, a very easy, fair resolution for all concerned.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
No.
The motion passes 3-2 with Commissioner King
Thank
and
you all.
Commissioner Pardo being no votes. Thank you. All right, where are we? First readings, I believe. Will we read those titles into the record.
First reading one, first reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 54, Article 1 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, City Code, titled Streets and Sidewalks in General, more particularly by amending Section 54-1 of the City Code, titled Definitions, and Section 54-3 of the City Code, titled Permit Required for Work that Obstructs or Closes a Street, Sidewalk, or Impedes Traffic, Fees, Waiver of Fees to require sidewalk safety and temporary pedestrian protection structures containing a severability clause and providing an effective date. We already did FR2, FR3, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending Chapter 2 of the Code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended, titled Administration, Chapter 18 of the City Code, titled Finance, and Chapter 62 of the City Code, titled Planning and Zoning, by amending Sections 2-160, 2-830, 2-884, 2-886, 2-1013, 2-1108, 2-1123, 2-1272, 2-1308, 18-86, 1889, 18-139, 18-178, 18-182, 62-2.1, and 62-16 to provide, where applicable, that certain City Commission supermajority requirements may be satisfied by the otherwise required 4/5 or 2/3 vote or by unanimous vote of the quorum that exists because of either abstentions or vacancies resulting from resignation, death, suspension, or physical incapacitation, containing a severability clause and providing for an immediate effective date. That concludes the first reading items.
Colleagues, do you want to bifurcate either of those?
Just on FR1, I think we have a substitution, George.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. In FR1, the title remains the same, but there will be additional language added in Section 54-3B little I, which will add, currently it says, at the discretion of the Department of Resilience and Public Works, it may deem upon submittal of a report, the new language is prepared by a Florida licensed contractor and approved by a licensed Florida engineer or architect, that the sidewalk protection is impractical with that modification.
All right, so do I have a motion on FR1 as amended and FR3?
So moved.
Second. All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Show both of those passed unanimously. I think maybe now we have boards and committees. Do we have any appointments, Todd?
Yes, thank you, Chair. BC1, Wynwood NRD1 Public Benefits Trust Fund Committee. Commissioner Pardo will be appointing Joseph first.
A motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
That concludes the boards and committees. Thank you, Chair.
All right. Now we move into the PZ items. I think we have 4, 5, and 8. Does anyone want to bifurcate any of those? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Wait. Let me read the titles. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of you, George.
PZ4, first reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending ordinance number 10544 as amended the future land use map of the Miami Comprehensive Neighborhood Plan pursuant to small-scale amendment procedure subject to Section 163.3187 Florida statutes by changing the future land use designation from single-family residential to major institutional public facilities, transportation, and utilities of the acreage described herein of real property at 770 Northwest 41 Avenue, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in the attached and incorporated Exhibit A, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. PZ5, first reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission with attachments amending the zoning atlas of ordinance number 13114, the zoning code of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by changing the zoning classification from T3R, suburban, transect zone, restricted, to CI, civic institution transect zone for the property generally located at 770 Northwest 41 Avenue, Miami, Florida, as more particularly described in the attached and incorporated Exhibit A, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date. And then I believe that's it. I'm sorry, PZ8. First reading ordinance, an ordinance of the Miami City Commission amending ordinance number 13114, the zoning ordinance of the City of Miami, Florida, as amended by amending Article 1 of the Miami 21 Code titled Definitions to introduce a definition for cottage housing and update the definition of lot coverage, and by amending Article 5, Section 5.3 of the Miami 21 Code titled Suburban Transect Zones T3 to allow for a new housing typology within T30 transect zones and on T3 non-conforming lots, and to update the porticos and porches regulations, making findings containing a severability clause and providing for an effective date.
All right, now, does anyone want to bifurcate anything? Commissioner Gabella.
No, I'm ready for a motion.
Oh, you're ready for motion. Okay, so moved by Commissioner Gabella, seconded by?
Second.
By Commissioner Escalona. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All righty, show those items passed unanimous. I think Commissioner Gabella, it's probably time for your pocket.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. All right.
Discussion.
So I just want to address something quickly, and I called it, Commissioner Escalona, this has to do with you. Your office invited me to attend the 11th of July event that you're having for Free Cuba, and you and I and a bunch of people here share the same sentiment that we are passionate about the freedom, the cause for freedom for Cuba. However, you know, I have a problem attending, and I think you know why. Ernesto Martin, that you're going to have there, also known a.k.a. as El Indeseable Maceito, okay? This gentleman has had problems, like you know, in the past few days. If he's there, I am not going, because we, in the Cuban community, we've always talked about the people from Europe going to Cuba to abuse of our young ladies, 14 and 15, in prostitution. This gentleman was caught about 4 or 5 days ago soliciting prostitution. I think it would be a mistake for the Cuban cause to have this gentleman there. I will not sit or stand at the same stage with the same gentleman. So, and I want to attend, I want you to succeed. I want our cause to succeed and to see a free Cuba very quickly. However, I cannot, in all good faith, in all we've criticized about the prostitution and how they abuse those girls and the human trafficking that goes on in this country, to stand by a gentleman that has just been arrested, you know, on July the 3rd, I think it was, you know, and I just can't do that. So if you don't see me there, that's the reason why. If you tell me the gentleman's not going to be there, then I will be happy to attend with you and honor the 11th of July that you're going to have, and I wish you well. I wish you good luck. I mean it from the bottom of my heart. But I had to say that, you know, because I invite you to my stuff, and I'm glad that you guys go. We missed you, Chairwoman, in the Bayfront July, but I know you were doing your thing, and I was glad that Commissioner Pardo went, Rosado, yourself, Escalona, and the mayor, and everybody else. A lot of people went to the event. So I appreciate when you guys come and you support whatever cause, you know, we're doing. And I mean this with the most sincerity. I'm not a guy one to backstab you or to, you know, do stuff in the back. I play it in the front. You know, homie don't play that. You know, doing stuff in the background and stabbing people. I don't play that, honestly. But I felt I must tell you and give you that warning, because I think that if that gentleman is allowed to go to that event, it would be a grave mistake for those of us that are trying to anytime we can, speak out for the freedom of Cuba and that imprisoned island. Thank you.
Commissioner, I heard about what happened yesterday night. Let me do my research, and I will let you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes the business. You all have a shade session. Do you need to read something before we leave?
Before we go to the shade
Mr. City
session.
Attorney, okay.
Thank you. Madam Chairwoman and members of the Commission, on June 25, 2026, under the provisions of Section 286.011, parentheses 8 Florida statutes, I requested that this City Commission meet in private to discuss pending litigation in the matter of William O. Fuller, Martin Pinilla II, the Barlington Group, LLC, Calle Ocho Marketplace, LLC, Yo Amo Calle Siete, LLC, Little Havana Arts Building, LLC, Little Havana Arts Building 2, LLC, Tower Hotel, LLC, Brickell Station, LLC, Piedras Villas, LLC, Futurama, LLC, El Shopping, LLC, Beatstick, LLC, Viernes Culturales, Cultural Fridays, Inc., Little Havana Bungalows, LLC, and El Hab Tres, LLC versus City of Miami et al., case number 23CV 24251 DRG, pending in the United States District Court, Southern District of Florida, to which the city is presently a party. The City Commission approved my request and will now, at approximately 4:30, commence a private attorney-client session under the parameters of Section 286.011, parentheses 8 Florida statutes. The subject of the meeting will be confined to settlement negotiations or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. This private meeting will conclude approximately 1 hour later. The session will be attended by the members of the City Commission, which include Chairwoman Christine King, Commissioners Miguel Angel Gabella, Damian Pardo, Rolando Escalona, and Ralph Rafael Rosado, City Manager James Reyes, City Attorney George Wysong, Deputy City Attorney Kevin Jones, and outside counsel Angel Cortinez and Jonathan Casco, Esquire. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the litigation. At the conclusion of the attorney-client session, the regular commission meeting will be reopened, and the person chairing the commission meeting will announce the termination of the attorney-client session. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Escalona, before we recess, will you gavel us out when you guys have to come back down here? Perfect. The meeting is recessed, and Commissioner Escalona will gavel us out at the end. Thank you.
Thank you. The shade meeting is now closed, and if I may, I need to read a script for another shade meeting.
Yes.
Members of the City Commission, pursuant to the provisions of Section 286.011, subsection 8 Florida statutes, I'm requesting that at the City Commission meeting of July 23rd, 2026, an attorney-client session closed to the public be held for the purposes of discussing the pending litigation in the matter of City of Miami versus Miami-Dade County, case number 2023-028335, CA02, pending in the 11th Judicial Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County, to which the city is presently a party. The subject of the meeting will be confined to settlement negotiations or strategy sessions related to litigation expenditures. This private meeting will begin at approximately 10 a.m. or as soon thereafter as the Commissioner's schedules permit, and conclude approximately 1 hour later. The session will be attended by the members of the City Commission, which include Commissioner Christine King, Commissioners Miguel Angel Gabella, Damian Pardo, Rolando Escalona, and Ralph Rafael Rosado, City Manager James Reyes, City Attorney George K. Wysong III, Deputy City Attorney Kevin R. Jones, Deputy City Attorney Javier E. Alban, Litigation and Appeals Division Chief Eric J. Eves, Land Use Division Chief Amber L. Ketterer, and Assistant City Attorney Marguerite Snyder. A certified court reporter will be present to ensure that the session is fully transcribed, and the transcript will be made public upon the conclusion of the litigation. At the conclusion of the attorney-client session, the regular commission meeting will be reopened, and the person chairing the commission meeting will announce the termination of the attorney-client session.
Right, this should conclude the City of Miami Commission meeting for July 9. Thank you.
Thank you.